Vans started as a retailer in 1966. Paul Van Doren built a shoe factory in Anaheim, California, and he bolted a little teeny store on the front of it. And people started to wander in, and he put some empty shoe boxes on a simple shelf. He said, "What is this?" "Oh, we make shoes." "Oh, okay, show me the shoes." They were standard deck shoes that you saw back then quite a bit. Several other companies made the exact same thing. And they said, "Well, I like these blue shoes, but they're just not the right color blue." And Paul said, "Well, what color blue would you want like?" And they said, "Well, I'd like to match my shirt." I said, "Okay, I got it. I got the color. Come back in 2 days, and I'll have the shoes for you." And sure enough, he had the shoes ready in his store, and that is how Vans began as a retailer. We've been customizing shoes ever since for 53 years. So very happy to talk to you about that today. I call this presentation "The Truth About Vans and Other Lies" because there is no truth in retailing. And if you read a book that says the 10 rules of retailing or my truth of retailing, it's bullshit. Because it's not, there is no truth. The truth is some semblance of my experience and your experience and your experience and your experience, right? It's individual truth for each one of us. So please take what you want from this. We've done a pretty good job as a retailer, but one for one, it's not gonna work, right? And I would never be so bold as to suggest what's worked for Vans, one for one will work for your brands. So please take everything I say with a big grain of salt or two. All right, I only show one chart in my presentation, but this is the one to show. Last year, Vans passed $3.7 billion. This year, we will pass $4 billion. When I started in 2004, Vans was a $360 million brand. So today's presentation is going to talk about why. But I will tell you guys today that 54% of Vans' global revenue is generated from direct channels. Wholesale remains very important. We go narrow and deep with some of the biggest wholesalers in the world today, but we've been a retailer since Paul opened that teeny little store in the front of the factory, and we always will be. It's very, very important to who we are. So at least I can offer some financial proof that some of the things that we've done have worked, going from 360 million to over 4 billion in 15 years. Okay? All right. I also need to tell you guys that Vans is an imperfect brand. We have had so many evolutionary dead ends, and we can laugh about them now. But at the time, somebody actually thought that clown shoes were going to be the path to riches for Vans. Then after that failed a miserable death, somebody thought of breakdancing shoes, because breakdancing was super cool back then. And then finally roller skates. So somebody actually put that on the table and said, this is going to be the breakthrough that Vans has always wanted. Roller skates. And everybody around the table said, yes, right? So when I talk about Vans' truth and other lies, you know what I'm talking about, right? We're all infallible. Nobody's perfect. We make mistakes all the time, but we learn. And this is a pretty good example. I could go on and on. You want to talk about baseball shoes, basketball shoes, running shoes, so many things that we aren't. What makes Vans work today is being very clear about what we are. And what we are is a brand that's fueled by our purpose. Our purpose is to enable creative expression in youth culture. It's that simple. Everything that we do is based on this purpose. When you come to work at Vans, we want you to embody this purpose, period. Okay? That is what is behind this brand. The filters for that purpose, there's only 4. Art, music, action sports, street culture. Guess what? That's all we do. Now I'm a big Chargers fan. I love the NFL. That's really cool. I'll make some shoes for the guys on the team or for the coaches on the side, but we're not going to get into the football business. It doesn't fit through one of these filters. What ties these 4 filters together is creative self-expression. And when we enable that creative self-expression, we live up to our purpose. So this gives us the ability, in Steve Jobs' phrasing, to say no to 1,000 things. You have got to have focus these days to grow. Now, what's very interesting, I get a lot of things. Well, Doug, you guys are passing $4 billion. Don't you have to mean more things to more people? No. I would argue that the inverse is true. You have to stick to your guns. You have to be more clear about who you are and what you stand for to grow. So as you get bigger, you need to narrow your focus, not expand it to remain relevant and successful. This is a little video that we did last year to show how Vans enables creative expression and brings our purpose to life. Let me show you just a clip of that.
guess it's like a really rough, raw country, but it's really beautiful. There's all these little cultural things that I really like, but girls have been oppressed here for so many decades now. They're expected to like be girly and like do all this girl stuff. So that's what I really like about skateboarding, that it doesn't really have those set rules. I have this thing called Girl Skate India. I try to promote female skateboarding within the country. When you see girls skating for themselves and having fun, it changes the perspective of what a girl can do. And it also teaches them a lot about their own capabilities.
We just got to Bangalore, India. So we're going to the skate park right now. We're going to be messing with concrete. And we're going to teach a girls' clinic.
Lizzie's one of the best female skateboarders right now. She's done amazing things for the female skate community.
Dude, I didn't expect to be doing this straight off the plane.
Here we have no mercy, jet lag or not. When the girls had heard that Lizzie was coming to do a workshop with us, they were stoked because they grew up watching her videos. Yeah. Once these girls see what's possible, they're gonna have new aspirations and dreams that like she's gonna ignite in them.
So a good example of how Vans lives up to its purpose by enabling creative expression. I get a lot of talk about, well, Doug, that gives me nice feels and makes me want to hug somebody, and that's great, but you've got to grow, you've got to sell things, you have to make money. How do those two things connect? Well, I mean, the bottom line is that we wouldn't make any money if we didn't connect to our purpose and our culture, because people who come to Vans and learn about us move from awareness to loyalty very quickly because of the emotional connectivity that's gained. And these days, that is what it's all about. It's all about emotional connectivity. If you're focused on transactional connectivity, you're commoditizing your efforts and you're making yourself just like everybody else. We're going the opposite direction. We're focusing on going deep and building brand loyalty through emotional connectivity. I use this quote all the time from Albert Einstein because he is the foremost mathematician and scientific mind of modern scientific life, right? I think we can all agree on that. Why would a guy who lives his whole life with ones and zeros say that not everything that counts can be counted and not everything that can be counted counts? If the foremost mathematician of our time can say something like that, I think we can all be confident that there's much more to it than the numbers. So let's talk about what that means. What that means is that we fight against becoming a commodity and we fight for being part of a culture. The example of Tide is that if you go to the market and they're out of Tide and that's your cleaner of choice, does that mean you're not going to do your laundry? No, you're going to buy something else and you're going to move on with your day, okay? If you go to the store to buy a specific pair of Vans and they're out of your size, are you just going to move on to another brand? No, if we have done our job well, we will find you the pair that you need, or we will give you a different pair of Vans that equally inspires you. That's really the difference. So you have a very commoditized product that sells on price on your left, or on performance benefits on your left, and you have lifelong fans on your right. These are girls from a school that won last year's custom culture contest, in which we allow any high school art class to sign up for free, design custom shoes, and the winning school, the school that does the best job, gets $75,000 towards its art program that year, because our job is to enable creative expression. When we do that, we build loyalty. These two young women will be loyal to Vans for life. Okay, I love Sephora. They're a very good brand. I use them as an example of an outstanding retailer all the time. In this case, though, I would give them an epic fail. And here's what I'm talking about. They spent over $1 million at Coachella a few years ago, and this is what they got. They got a white tent with a little sign out front to be on the grounds of Coachella. The way that reads from a young person's point of view is sponsor paid for it, okay? You damage your credibility when you do things like this. Vans, we don't believe in sponsoring things and putting our logo up. We are focused on building culture from the inside out with people who are organically connected to our brand. People like Anderson .Paak on the right. Those of you who don't know Mr. Paak, grew up in Oxnard, has worn Vans his whole life, incredible percussionist. Now he is an absolute chart-topping artist. And his last real job before he became a full-time musician was working in a Vans store. So finding that out, we said, this is the kind of guy we want to work with. We share a lot of common values. Anderson loves teaching kids how to play the drums. Perfect, that's enabling creative self-expression. He's part of our family, let's go talk to him. He agreed, we worked out a great deal. And now Anderson is helping build our place in music, okay? So that is what I mean. That's the difference between sponsoring a white tent at Coachella and having somebody who plays the main stage who already loves your product wearing them. Okay. We thrive by reaching consumers from the highest boutique level in retailing to the biggest box and everything in between. Okay, the best brands in the world do that. Our competitors, the best footwear brands in the world that we compete against, do the same thing. And so now we are beginning to build our own retail stores to tell those stories. This is the first Vault store in the world. Vault is our Apex line, okay? Like kind of our version of Couture, all right? And this is in the Bowery and New York City, one of a kind. We're gonna be rolling these out all over the world. We also wanna reach consumers at the boutique level. And here's an example of a boutique format for Vans. This is a store called The General in Williamsburg that represents the boutique format for us. This is what we call the brand showcase store. This is on 34th Street, right across from the entrance to Macy's. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this spot well. Brand showcase is a mall store on steroids, is what I would say. It's everything we carry. They're big spaces. We have another one on Fifth Avenue that's also very large. We're about to open one on Oxford Circus. So these would be your premium high street environments where you can justify a lot of square footage because the velocity is so high, the foot traffic is so incredibly high. Street stores, street locations, some high streets. You would see this on Rush Street in Chicago. This is Yonge Street in Montreal. So these are very good shopping streets in A and B metros for us. So you see we're ticking off the different types of consumer from the fastest to the more follower, okay? And then our box, we make these like rabbits reproduce. Mall stores, while malls were good, we were making a lot of these. As you can see, we've branched out quite a bit, but we have about 550 of these in North America and a couple thousand of these in different formats all over the world, China being our biggest market. And this is our outlet store, sells about 50% full price good, 50% hash from liquidation, an incredible entree for Vans. We grow up a lot of fans starting here. And to us, it's all good. We sell Opening Ceremony, Supreme, Dover Street Market, the most aspirational retailers in the world, but we also sell very big boxes like Kohl's and JCPenney and Famous Footwear because we want to reach different types of consumer. One brand, but we think we can reach a lot of different types of consumers. All right. It's really, really important point if you want to understand what makes Vans successful, if you want to understand deep emotional connectivity for consumers, to understand what's on this page. In my mind, this is one of the most important messages in my presentation today. If I like something in my social feed, what does it take for me to take that action? What is asked of me? Very, very little. In fact, I'm on social media so much I'm embarrassed to say that I can't remember what I liked when I was waiting for the session to start. And I'm sure some of you have the same problem, okay? You're asking very little of me to like something. But we just had a horrible Hurricane Dorian that destroyed the Bahamas, and a lot of people have been giving blood, so thank you if you've done that for those people. When you give blood, you're in it. They stick a needle in you, they're draining your bodily fluid to give to somebody else. That's a commitment, that's a big ask of you to do that. So how do you apply that to your business? Think about the difference between a like and giving blood when you think about your business and what you're asking for from your customers or your consumers. The example below is a perfect one. On the left, you have our homepage. Now, to visit our homepage, what am I asking of you to visit our homepage? Well, you did a Google search. Vans came up first, both in paid and organic. You clicked on it. You went to our homepage. Or you just typed in vans.com to see what was there. It's not much of an ask, is it? There's not much in it. You don't have very much of a commitment to our brand to be able to do that. So if you are counting things like likes, if you're counting things like home pages, I think you might be kidding yourself about the connections you have to your consumers. But our customs engine is a whole nother world. So remember at the beginning I talked about Paul Van Doren matching the shirt with the shoes? Now we have a very nice digital pathway for you to do that, okay? And people spend hours and hours loading their own content, user-generated content, photos of their family or their pets are the favorites, as you might guess, and they put them on their shoes, and they order the shoes, and 2 to 3 weeks later, they arrive. To me, that is the giving blood version. That is the emotional connectivity that we are trying to drive, because those people are placing things that are important to them on our canvas and then wearing them as a form of self-expression. I could not imagine a better take as a brand than what a custom shoe is for Vans. Does that make sense? I think that's a very, very important point of differentiation. Don't allow those weak link things like likes and homepage views to get in the way of what's really important. And those are the strong tie things, okay? I also get asked a lot, you're 53 years old. I'm 53 years old, exactly. I was born in 1966, just like Vans was, and I'm starting to show my age. Some of the treads are getting thin on the tires, okay? Our responsibility as a brand is to constantly progress who we are for the next generation. But you do that through a combination of honoring your legacy and progressing forward. These are not mutually exclusive concepts. They work together. If you have 53 years of heritage in things like skateboarding and punk rock and art, we leverage those things. We don't ignore them because the Gen Zs weren't around then. We say, this is something to hold up and be proud of. And it gives us a tremendous amount of authenticity and value to kids today. But we also can't rest on our laurels. We can't just say, let's just make the same shit we did last year because it worked. That doesn't work either. We are constantly updating our designs. We're constantly collaborating with new people. We're constantly challenging ourselves with new ideas around colors and materialization, all right, to keep the product fresh every single week. So the silhouette of an authentic or an era like I'm wearing today may be 40 or 50 years old, but the materialization, the way that we collaborate with other people, all those things are keeping us progressing and moving forward. Those things need to work together. Global consistency with local relevancy has been our mantra throughout our geographic expansion. 40 years in, we were only known really in the state of California. 53 years in, we're in 85 plus countries. Like I told you, we have over 1,000 stores in China. There is an incredible amount of consistency as you visit Van stores all over the world, from Beijing to Santiago. That's a flight I would not like to do anytime soon. The stores look the same. They carry the same common thread because we're one brand. But you also need to localize the stores as well, and that's where local relevancy comes in. Local athletes, local brand ambassadors, the imagery that you see reflecting the family in that area. In Asia, for example, a different fit size, a different block we use to make our t-shirts, right? Those are good examples of local relevancy, but that globally consistent message is pretty much mandatory these days with the visibility people have. I spoke about this earlier. I can't say enough how critical it is to be clear about who you are and who you are not these days, okay? And being all things to all people really, really puts your brand in peril, is what I would say. The expectation from the consumer is that you are gonna say who you are and who you're not, and then stick with it. The brands we compete against come from really traditional stick and ball sports, like basketball, soccer, or football if you're European, and track and field. Those are our three biggest competitors. These bunch of misfits, these social outcasts from Dogtown, which is a small neighborhood between Venice and Santa Monica, and the beach towns up west of Los Angeles, these are our family. These are the guys that really started it for us. These are the guys that brought skateboarding to Vans and created the family that we have today. Many of the skaters on here still work for Vans. The guy on the far right, as you look at the photo, Tony Alva, you just saw him in the last photo on the Heritage versus Progression. He's been a Vans skater as long as he's been skateboarding. So we're very proud of that legacy. Another very clear thing that we talk about is a concept of being open to anyone, but not for everyone. When you meet Vans for the first time, we welcome you into our family. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what you believe in. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter who you love. You are welcome into the Vans family. Now, we understand that at some point in the relationship, as you move from that first date into some form of deeper relationship, that you may decide that Vans isn't for you. You may be more of a Nike guy or an Adi guy or a Puma guy. Cool. We are good with that. We are good with that. And that's what I mean about the difference of standing for what you believe in or trying to be everything to everyone and putting your brand at peril. If we are open to anyone, but also willing to say that we are not for everyone, we put a very sharp point of view on who we are, okay? Very important, I think, point for brands these days trying to reach that next generation in particular. I spoke earlier with the clown shoes and the breakdancing shoes. I guess we don't quite make that mistakes that are that ugly today. We still make mistakes every day. And I like to talk about Vans as an imperfect brand. Some brands, when you buy the shoes brand new, you keep them in the box. You have a special place in your closet for them. You dust it off once in a while. They never touch the ground. That is not what we want with Vans shoes. We want Vans shoes to be lived. The shoes you see here are some of our favorites because they have been used. They have been experienced, which, how many times have you heard that word today? Right? That is the word, the retail word of the year this year, and you'll never want to use it again. These shoes have gone to concerts. They've gone to art shows. They've gone on dates. You've had your first kiss in them. You went to your first concert in them. You got your first car in them. They've been loved. And they means that they have been experienced and you have lived your life in this product. And that is what is beloved about Vans. Checkerboard, not checkbook, refers to the fact that somebody can always write a bigger check, right? No matter how buff you are and what kind of a fighter you are, there's always a bigger guy who can knock you out, all right? That's just the reality of life. And so we feel the same way. It's not about who can write a bigger check. It's about who can mean more to its consumer. And so checkerboard, for us, represents that emotional connectivity. Anyone can write a check. What are you going to do? How are you going to compete with somebody who can write a bigger check than you? Deep emotional connectivity is the answer. And all the success that we've had wouldn't mean anything if we were full of ourselves, and we are not. We are imperfect, as I said, we still make mistakes all the time. Hungry and humble is what we are. That means we are constant learners. We are always looking for how to improve what we are. Efficacy and impact are what we are all about as we learn. And we want to stay humble. So we get a lot of people say, bro, Vans is killing it. Good, great job. I can't believe it. But thank you very much. And then we put our heads down and go back to work. That's the humble part. I tell people that off the wall is a state of mind. And that is my answer when I get asked the question about demographics. Well, isn't Vans really just for teenagers? And then once you become 20 or graduate from college and you got to get serious and you get your first pair of brown shoes to match your suit, and then your Vans kind of disappear? No. Don't get old between your ears is what I tell people. Off the wall is a state of mind. Your age is just a chronological number, but off the wall is a state of mind, okay? And so anybody of any age can be a part of the Vans family. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to take any questions that you guys have.
I think we have time for one question. Does anyone have a question that they'd like to throw up?
So A couple things. First of all, I have to let you know I have a pair of Vans. Been a fan for a long time. I think I have a pair that's like 25 years old, and I take the garbage out in them. And
Thank you.
They work really well for that. But
A funny garbage story that I hear all the time is the moms who are complaining because they keep trying to throw their kids' shoes away. And then as soon as the mom leaves the trash cans on trash night, the kid runs outside, takes them out of the trash, and puts them back in the closet. So we love trash day.
So you talked a lot about brand today, but I know because I've been a part of a retailer that really grew really fast, like $15 billion in just a few years is a lot, and it takes logistics and manufacturing and all that stuff. How did you handle the back end, like the manufacturing end of that, like getting all that product suddenly out into the stores, out into the world?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. We would not have been able to achieve that had we not been part of our parent company, which is the VF Corporation. And we really leverage the back end. That's the things like supply chain and finance across 20 some odd brands. And so we have sourcing and operations built all over the world. And that really put the wind at our back and allowed us to grow. And so then we got to just really focus much more on our brand and building that brand love. And the company that bought us and supports us, VF, really provides a lot of that infrastructure. I would say if we were still going it alone, we were a publicly traded company when we got bought, we'd probably be a fraction of the size that we are today. All right, I'm being told my time is up. Thank you guys so much.